Ladies and gentlemen, throughout human history, we have tried to understand the world through stories, symbols, and art. And among all forms of art, painting holds a special power. It doesn't speak with words, yet it can whisper secrets across centuries. Today, I invite you to step inside what many consider the most mysterious painting ever made. There is something deeply unsettling and strangely magnetic about a painting that feels as if it is aware of your presence. From the moment you stand before it, you sense that this artwork is not passive. Its eyes seem to meet yours, and no matter where you move, that gaze appears to follow. This effect is not accidental. It is the result of extraordinary mastery. An artist who understood light, shadow, anatomy, and human perception so precisely that the boundary between image and observer begins to blur. What makes this experience so powerful is the psychological connection it creates. Normally, when we look at a painting, we remain in control. We observe, analyze, and then move on. But with this mysterious painting, the roles seem reversed. You are no longer just the viewer. You are the subject being observed. This sensation triggers an instinctive human response. Our brains are wired to react to eye contact. It signals attention, judgment, curiosity, and sometimes even threat. When a painted figure appears to maintain that connection, the mind struggles to separate illusion from reality. The artist achieved this effect through subtle but deliberate choices. The positioning of the eyes, the angle of the face, and the balance of light across the features all work together to create ambiguity. The expression is neither fully happy nor clearly sad. It exists somewhere in between, constantly shifting, depending on the viewer's perspective and emotional state. When you feel calm, the face appears gentle. When you feel uncertain, it seems guarded. This emotional flexibility is what gives the painting its haunting quality. Distance also plays a role. From afar, the expression looks composed and distant, almost formal, but as you step closer, it softens, becoming intimate and personal. This change creates the illusion of movement, as if the figure is subtly reacting to your presence. The painting does not physically change, yet your experience of it does. In that moment, art becomes interactive, not through technology, but through perception. This is why people often describe such paintings as alive. They respond to us not because they move, but because we do. Each viewer brings their own thoughts, fears, hopes, and memories into the encounter. The painting reflects those inner states back at us. Two people can stand before the same artwork and walk away with completely different impression, each convinced they saw something unique, and they are both right. This phenomenon also explains why the painting has fascinated audiences for generations. Time has not weakened its effect. In fact, it has strengthened it. As cultures change and perspectives shift, new meanings continue to emerge. The painting adapts to each era without altering a single brushstroke. That ability to remain relevant without explanation is rare and extraordinary. The power of this painting lies in its quiet confrontation. It does not demand attention with drama or spectacle. Instead, it holds your gaze and invites a silent exchange. You look at it, and it looks back. In that shared moment, the boundary between art and life dissolves. The painting becomes more than an object on a wall. It becomes an experience, one that lingers long after you have turned away. What we see on the surface of a great painting is often only the final decision in a long and complicated journey. Beneath the visible layers of colour lies a hidden history, one made of revisions, doubts, and secrets that the artist never intended the world to see. This is especially true for the most mysterious paintings ever created, where the surface image is only a fraction of the story. Before the first layer of paint ever dried, the artist began with sketches and rough ideas. These early marks were not meant to be perfect. They were experiments, attempts to capture an idea, an emotion, or a message that was still forming in the artist's mind. As the painting evolved, certain elements were strengthened, others softened, and some erased entirely. But erasing paint does not erase intention. Those buried choices remain, hidden beneath the surface like memories. Centuries later, modern technology has allowed us to peer into these concealed layers. Through X-rays, infrared scanning, and ultraviolet light, scientists and art historians have uncovered astonishing discoveries. Faces that were once painted and then covered, hands repositioned, symbols removed, backgrounds completely transformed. These revelations change the way we understand the artwork. The painting is no longer a single image. It becomes a record of thought, struggle, and change. These hidden layers tell us something deeply human about the artist. They remind us that even the greatest masters were uncertain at times. They questioned their decisions. They changed their minds. The mystery of the painting grows not because the artist was confident, but because they were searching. Each layer represents a moment where the artist paused and asked, "Is this true? Is this right?" In that sense, the painting captures not just an outcome, but a process. What makes this especially fascinating is that some changes appear deliberate, not corrective. Certain details were not removed because they were mistakes, but because they revealed too much. A symbol might have been politically dangerous. A facial expression might have felt too revealing. A background element might have shifted the meaning in an unintended direction. By covering these details, the artist transformed the painting into a coded message, one that invites curiosity without offering clarity. This layering also adds depth to the emotional impact of the artwork. Even though we cannot see the hidden elements with the naked eye, we often sense them. The painting feels heavier, more complex, as if it is holding something back. That tension between what is shown and what is concealed creates unease and fascination at the same time. We are drawn to the painting because it feels incomplete, yet whole, open, yet guarded. In many ways, these hidden layers mirror human experience. We present one version of ourselves to the world, while carrying countless unseen thoughts beneath the surface. The painting reflects this reality. It becomes a silent reminder that identity is not singular. It is layered, revised, and constantly evolving. This is why the mystery endures. Even if every hidden sketch were revealed, the painting would not lose its power. Instead, it would gain another dimension. Each discovery would raise new questions rather than settle old ones. The more we uncover, the more we realize how much remains unknown. The surface image may be what first captures our attention, but it is the unseen layers that give the painting its soul. They transform it from a static object into a living archive of intention, doubt, and meaning, one that continues to invite exploration long after the final brushstroke was laid down. The true power of a mysterious painting often lies not in what is fully defined, but in what is left unfinished. In the most remarkable artworks, ambiguity is not a flaw, it is an intentional choice. The artist deliberately leaves parts of the painting incomplete, soft or indistinct, inviting the viewer to step in and participate in completing the story. This unfinished quality transforms the painting from a static object into an interactive experience, one that evolves in meaning depending on who stands before it, when, and under what circumstances. When we look at an unfinished area of a painting, our imagination begins to fill the gaps. Perhaps a hand seems only partially formed, or a shadow hints at an unseen presence. Our minds instinctively try to make sense of it, projecting our own thoughts, emotions and experiences into the artwork. This creates a deeply personal connection between the painting and the viewer. Unlike a fully completed work, where every detail is fixed and defined, an unfinished painting leaves room for dialogue. Each person who gazes upon it becomes a collaborator, breathing life into the empty spaces and unfinished forms. The use of ambiguity in a painting also enhances its timelessness. Completed artworks often communicate a specific message or emotion, but an intentionally ambiguous painting allows for infinite interpretations. Over centuries, different viewers bring their cultural, social, and personal perspectives to the same piece, uncovering new layers of meaning that the artist may never have anticipated. What one generation sees as a melancholy, another may perceive as serenity. What appears mysterious to one viewer may feel comforting to another. The painting remains eternally relevant because it does not insist on a single, definitive reading. Unfinished elements also emphasize the process of creation. When we see areas that seem raw, incomplete, or in transition, we are reminded that art is not born perfect. It is built layer by layer through thought, revision, and experimentation. These glimpses into the artist's process can make us feel closer to them, as if we are witnessing a private moment of decision-making and struggle. In this sense, the unfinished nature of the painting communicates not just the final image, but the artist's humanity. It tells us that even masters wrestled with doubt, explored multiple possibilities, and left their work open to interpretation. Another dimension of leaving parts unfinished is the way it heightens focus. By leaving certain areas less detailed or less defined, the artist draws attention to what is most important. The viewer's eye naturally gravitates toward the carefully completed portions, creating a dynamic balance between clarity and ambiguity. This contrast between finished and unfinished areas enhances the emotional impact of the work, encouraging contemplation and reflection. The unfinished quality of a painting challenges the notion of closure in art. In our modern world, we are accustomed to answers and resolutions. The most mysterious paintings, however, resist this impulse. They do not offer a neat conclusion. Instead, they invite ongoing engagement, rewarding those who return to them repeatedly, discovering new possibilities with each encounter. The painting becomes a living experience, constantly renewed through observation, thought, and imagination. The unfinished nature of a painting is not a deficiency, it is a strength. It transforms the artwork from a static object into a dynamic interaction between artist, painting, and viewer. It reminds us that meaning is not something imposed, it is something we create together. By leaving space for interpretation, the artist ensures that the painting remains alive, relevant, and endlessly fascinating. The mystery is not in what the painting conceals, but in what it invites us to discover. And that is the essence of its enduring pour. One of the most compelling aspects of a mysterious painting is its ability to evoke deep emotion without offering any clear explanation. Unlike many works of art that tell a story or communicate a defined message, the most enigmatic paintings speak primarily to our feelings. They bypass logic, bypass words, and strike directly at the heart. This emotional power is what makes such paintings unforgettable, leaving an impression that lingers long after we step away from the canvas. When we encounter a painting that evokes strong emotion, we are engaging with more than colours, lines, and shapes. The composition, the use of light and shadow, the subtle shifts in expression, all work together to create a mood. A simple tilt of a head, a shadowed corner, or a softly blurred background can stir profound feelings within us. What is fascinating about the most mysterious paintings is that these emotional cues are deliberately ambiguous. The face may appear joyful, sorrowful, or contemplative, depending on the viewer's own mood. The landscape may suggest peace or foreboding. The painting is alive in its ability to mirror our inner states, reflecting what we bring to it, rather than what it explicitly presents. This emotional resonance is amplified by the painting's refusal to explain itself. In a world where we are constantly seeking answers, clarity, and closure, a painting that remains elusive forces us to pause. It refuses to be pinned down or categorized. That very uncertainty becomes part of its power. Because we cannot resolve it, we are drawn back, compelled to study it again and again, searching for a meaning that may not exist in a conventional sense. This ongoing engagement deepens our emotional response, transforming a simple viewing into a personal journey.